This is the Realty Classroom Podcast, episode number 13.
Welcome to the show that focuses on helping real estate agents build a bulletproof business plan so that they can sell more properties in less time and live a more fulfilled life.
Are you a real estate agent with an entrepreneurial spirit who wants to turn your job into a business without sacrificing your lifestyle, but you just can't seem to find the right plan to help you get there? Well, then you're definitely in the right place. I'm Danny Griffin, the founder of the Realty Classroom, the host of this podcast. And to help you take immediate action to build a better real estate agent business, I've created a free jumpstart course for you at freeagentgift.com. It's good whether you're a veteran or a rookie. Let's get started today. In this episode, I want to cover the outcome. If you go back to the last episode, you'll hear me talking about how I believe our business, the real estate agency business, is actually very similar to Henry Ford's business of producing cars. I really fell in love with the concept of the assembly line as he manufactured in detail from raw materials to an outcome. And that's really what I want to talk about today, is that when you think about Henry Ford, the first thing, for example, would be that he was producing cars, right? That's what he did. He manufactured cars. But if you dig deeper and you think about, okay, sure, that's the logical outcome that we seem to be focused on. But the truth be told, wasn't he trying to build a business? And when you go back to Michael Gerber's challenge of how does the business really work, it's not just that you manufacture cars and off they go and they get sold. If you want to build it and really proliferate and expand, you need to really focus on customer satisfaction. And think about how many times you hear that in the manufacturing world when it comes to automobiles. Was the customer satisfied? Will you take this survey and tell us whether you were satisfied? We obsess over it. It wasn't just the number of cars that were produced. Sure, Wall Street might like that and see what kind of profit the company made. But really, if you're running the business, who cares about all that if the customer gets that car and very shortly thereafter, they're not happy? And that goes on and on and on with this sense of community after the fact. And so I think the problem is, we're always so focused on the money. And I get why. You need it. You need it. If you're going to spend money in real estate agency to try to grow your business, you need to see not only that much come back in, but then some to cover all of the expenses that you have to pay personally, your taxes, etc., so that there's something left over. So I understand that, but I really want you to understand, and Michael Gerber talks about this as well, that money is a byproduct. Cash, for example, flows in and out and in and out of a business. Now, let's think about this. Now, imagine we have this manufacturing plant for what? We said it in the last episode. We're manufacturing relationships. So if you see it that way, forget about the real estate for a second. Let's put that aside. I get it. That and the automobile are definitely the thing that is going to happen along the way. But money is required to be part of that game. And it will come in and out, like I said. So think about the beginning of our business like Henry's. What we're trying to do is bring in raw materials. So this whole concept that's proliferated almost to the detriment of real estate agency is this proliferation of leads. Leads as the raw material, the number one source. You can't survive without the leads. You know, I always joke about the movie Glengarry Glen Ross, right? These leads are no good. Yes, they are. Well, the bottom line is, all they are is a form of raw materials. So if you think about Henry going to, say, Carnegie for steel or Firestone for rubber for the tires, whatever it might be, those are all the raw materials that go into the manufacturing process. And in order to have them arrive in the yard, you need to pay somebody. There goes that money outwards. Now, I think what's very important here is that when you consider those raw materials, so many of you are running out to just get what you think belongs in that whole manufacturing situation that will produce what? This outcome of money coming back in. I'm a top producer. I made this GCI. I sell this number of millions of dollars, and everybody's forgetting about the fact that you're actually manufacturing relationships. And I'll get to the end in mind in a second here. But now, all of a sudden, you start to think about your raw materials differently. Michael Gerber saying, how's the business work? You saying listings, and yet you've got buyer internet leads coming out your ears. Did you know that the number of buyer internet leads that are sold in our industry far outpaces the number of sales? I've lost track of it, but last time somebody gave me some numbers they thought were close, it was something like 9 times to 10 times the number of internet quote unquote leads that were purchased by real estate agents, 9 times the number of transactions that actually occurred in the United States. That's just insane when you really think about it, right? So what are we doing? We're buying raw materials that are not the highest quality. And again, when you buy those raw materials, they're not even coming into your plant sort of already put together. So in other words, it'd be the equivalent of Henry going and buying the rubber and actually making the tires himself versus going to Harvey Firestone and buying the tires all made and having those dropped off. What about us? Why can't we get something that's a little bit more manufactured by a raw materials producer? So when they drop them in the yard, it's not so raw and there's not so much more work to be done. Let that sink in there, right? So what you're really asking yourself is about running the manufacturing operation more efficiently. So you all of a sudden see this production starting with a much more serious sense of intentionality, intentional purpose of the best quality pre-manufactured raw materials that can really accelerate the beginnings of that relationship. Now, what do I mean by that? I'll digress for a second and say, what if you could skip over a contact's disposition as a lead and go straight to prospect where there's actually some pre-assembly that's gone on? In other words, think about somebody who comes through an open house. You're actually physically there. You're there with your unique selling proposition, which should be your strategic professional plan. You have a real discussion. They're not working with anybody. Now you take that name, that contact information, and you bring it back to your yard where assembly begins. Your yard might be putting them directly into the manufacturing process on MLS to get properties that have sold or that are for sale. See where I'm going? Just let that sink in for a second. Why are we moving so far away from quality materials, raw materials that go into producing something that's a better opportunity and begins to delve into relationship quicker? It just makes sense. It's logic. There's no rocket science in it. I'm not throwing the baby out with the bathwater saying don't get leads, but just think about, are those the right types of leads that you want? Are they the better quality ones? Or are you just getting quantity for the sake of quantity? Think about Henry. What if he put a whole bunch of steel that was just okay and he got it at a cheaper price and it was loading up the yard and he didn't have enough guys to put it in the plant and even start to manufacture? What would he have done? Stop doing the same thing. So again, running the manufacturing operation efficiently becomes very, very important. But really, let's go to the outcome for a second here, because now the money has gone out and presumably you begin your process of conversion. This concept of a conversion module is really where this industry needs its attention, not on marketing first, but on conversion. We get it. Raw materials is all about marketing. How do we get them? But now they're in here. And now we start to go through this process of lead, if we got them that way, to prospect. And prospects, even those get divvied up and chunked down into, well, what's Goldilocks formula? Is the bed too hard? Is it too soft? Meaning, is your follow-up too strong and too aggressive because their timing's not now? Or is it too soft and somebody else takes them? And a lot of work to be done at the prospect level. And that's what I mean by making that operation more efficient. Because truth be told, even though you paid for those leads, now you've brought them into a system that's inefficient. You are losing more money. They are disappearing on you. Nobody's calling them back. And when you do, you forget to follow up long term. How many people actually make a quick decision when they don't know you to let you guide them through the process of buying or selling a house? It's a minority of the population. Maybe if you have a reputation, but what if you're new? What if you have to actually manufacture this relationship because you don't have resume? This is where you can become more efficient and do the right thing by staying in that process steadily and efficiently. But really, as they move along through there, they come into this client situation where now you're really finally at where you need to be. And you're deep dive in there and they're trusting your guidance and they're getting a little bit more anxious and things are happening. And you're really having the time to dive in because you didn't bring in too many raw materials. You have a nice steady flow based on where the growth of your business is at. So in other words, you can handle this amount of work and you get to lean in a little bit more into that relationship. Then all of a sudden what happens is, boom, money flows back in. But if you're focused on rushing through this whole process of conversion into your closing department, and then worse, you rush them through the closing process, what have you manufactured? A sale? Sure. The revenue? Sure. But if you don't close with family in mind, what do I mean by that? If you're not closing these folks with caring, real genuine caring, that you really want to be that good, deep serving guide that doesn't stop paying attention to what's important to them, even though the reality of the business is you need the cash to flow and you're really lifting them up and being there for them, even if it's being their therapist in the context of real estate. That's how you close and you produce the outcome that you're really after, which is almost this sense of family. Community. I know not everybody's going to love us at the end of this. You can't always get this result. People just get so crazy and frenetic over this. But you can look at this whole thing and say, you know what? This makes sense. Henry Ford or whomever we are as real estate agents, we should be really hyper-focused on the fact that our assembly line produces what I like to call at Griffin Realty Group, a happy Griffin. That's the most important thing. Why? Because with the real true outcome in mind, that I want to grow my business, I want to expand my business, and I want it to run more efficiently and effectively. Why does it always feel like so much work? Because I'm so focused on the ins and outs of money and not the production of a happy client community that tends to repeat when they're ready and refer all along the way. So if you really want to get that accelerant through repeat and referral business, you stay steady through the production of all of this with the outcome in mind that it's a happy client that you want. You've heard the concept of raving fan. Well, not without this kind of efficiency and effective follow through all the way, and then including after the closing, right? Don't let them think that you were just there to pick up the check. Let them know that they just became part of your family for life. So there's your outcome, family for life. That's how you treat these people that were kind enough to trust you. All right, so let's review this. We always want to start with the outcome in mind, but is the outcome the inflow of money? Sure, it's an important byproduct of cash coming back in to serve us and give us that profit, but the true outcome is a happy past client that will repeat and refer. And the key points here to remember to help you do that, Henry Ford's assembly line did the same thing. It produced that happy client at the end who felt really good when they drove off with that Model T, that shiny black car that they could show to their friends, right? And money is that byproduct that Henry had too. He had to buy his raw materials, but he became much better and efficient with that. That he started with the right raw materials, which is point number 3 there. Don't just rush out and buy whatever you think you're supposed to get because this agent or that. No, think. Come on. Get the best, most efficient raw material that you can to create a relationship that yields this sale. So you're running, that's point number 4, running the manufacturing operation efficiently. Demand that a better manager emerge out of you and always close this relationship in the concept of the transaction with family in mind. You want to create family members, happy past clients that will repeat and refer. All right, the key point, focus on creating an outcome of happy past clients. And remember that you can take immediate action and get started in the right direction with our free video course over at freeagentgift.com. Come on over there. Join us so that we can create this community. And if you like what you've learned here, in fact, then we'd really appreciate it if you subscribe and help us share these insights by giving us a positive review on whichever platform you're listening so that other entrepreneurial real estate agents just like you can find their way here to join us and we can have a happy family right here. So thanks for listening, and we look forward to helping you in the next episode.
You've been listening to The Realty Classroom with Danny Griffin. Join us next time to continue learning how to build a smarter real estate agent business plan that helps you live a more fulfilled life.